The Immortal Thor, issue number 20. That's right, folks. It kind of feels like we're reaching the end of the Immortal Thor. Does that make sense? Like, this is. If you said this was the final arc, I would believe you. Because, like, where do we go after this? Like, we're playing with, like, visions from the Donny Cates era. And I'm like, I think we are seeing, like, maybe this could be where the book stops and Thor enters a new era, or like Magni becomes Thor and something like that. I don't know. We'll see. We will see what happens, won't we? Because this issue sets up a lot. I think it's pretty fun. It opens in a really cool place. We are not on Asgard because we are hanging out with Freya. Yay! What's she been up to? Well, she is on like a different planet or different realm, and her and Thor like killed a big dragon, so they're kind of like eating its meat. But the stuff they won't eat, they're gonna like send to a village because she's kind of doing a superhero thing on this planet. It's interesting. Freya is still technically not his like biological mother. It is still Gaia, but that's his mom. We're not gonna change that. We're not gonna like write her out as a character because of that. I appreciate that. Good on you. So she's like, you're not just here to like catch up with your mother. You clearly have something on your mind. So what would you like? Why would you want my advice? And he's like, well, things got pretty complicated in the last couple of issues. And one of the things I learned is that I was a liar in my fate. Fate said I would never have an heir. Well, I made a liar out of fate. And she's like, oh, really? You're having a child? He's like, one's already here. And she's like, oh, has that much time passed? How old is the young one? Well, he's like this. He's in his second century. He's still young. She's like, okay, who's the mother? Is it like that green mortal I met? Like, no, it's not Jennifer. No, it's an Asgardian who wears a lot of green. And she's like, Amora? Amora? I love this page. It's just Freya like, what are you talking about? What did you just do? Why don't you explain to me the details of how you had a kid? And Thor does. And she's like, okay, this Magni, do you trust him? If things were to fall upon you, is Magni the heir that you believe he should be? And Thor's like, I think he could be. I've seen visions of my future. The black winter that awaits me, the image from the Donny Cates run. And he's like, I thought I managed to defeat it with like the death of the Black Winter the first time, and defeating Thanos, and like the time of Bor, and I have my hammer back, and like the Bifrost is back. But I should have known, and I really like this line, a winter only leaves to make way for another one. So though I prevented this version of my future from killing me, there is still another version of a future that is going to kill me. And I think that's a really cool thing to play with. And Thor is just like, I don't know. If this is to be my end, I don't understand why. It feels different this time. I've died before. I have faced Ragnaroks. But something about this, I don't know. It feels final. There's a finality to it, which is why I kind of think this could be like the end of the run. And she's like, so are you going to run from it? Like this feeling? And he says, no, I'm not going to run from it. I will rage against it. I'll fight against it. I'll trick it if I have to. I have fought tricksters before. If I have to trick death, I will find a way. But I'm not going to run. What I'm going to do is do my best to understand if there's another deal I could author this death. And maybe that'll be something I could do. And she's like, well, then I don't think you really needed advice from me, because you already have your mind made up, and I hope this is not the end of the tale for you, son, because I do love you, and you are a good thing. And before they can have a real final moment that's like a heart-to-heart, Thor gets called away from Sif. I kind of like this. I think him seeing Freya here is like him being, if this is the end of me, very well might be, that I want to know that my mother is comfortable with my life, accepting of my son, and aware of where I'm leaving her, which is kind of cool. So Thor has to leave because Tanarus appeared back, and Sif's like, well, it's not what you think. He wasn't really sent here. He was more delivered. And in a very Jesus Christ depiction, we see Tanarus is nailed to his wheel, And Thor's like, what the ever-loving hell happened to this guy? I guess I gotta go talk to him. So he flies up to Tanarus, and he's like, what is this? Like, what happened to you? He's like, this is your fault. You did this to me because you put your stupid thoughts in my mind. And we see what happened, that Tanarus went back to his people in the Utgard Hall, and he tried to talk to them about, like, changing their plans and showing compassion. And they're like, shut up, nerd. We don't need that shit. We're gonna destroy the world. We don't care. We're going to have, like, this guy who looks like one of the Herculoids. He's going to, like, nail you to your wheel. And we're going to tell Thor, like, shut up. That's what happens. It's so silly. So silly, but I love it. I love it. So they nail him to the wheel. They send him back to Asgard, and he's like, I'm dying, Thor. Like, I cannot get out of this. This is my end. We share a familiar path together because this is my end as well. But first, I have a message for you. The bridge across the great river Vimur has crossed again. It is open. And beyond it is the Utgard land. You are going to find someone there. There's only one way through. That's what you have to do. And he's like, I'm done. He's like, aye. Now all is done. Close your eyes, my friend. And then Thor kills the Utgard Thor. And I'm like, holy crap. Lasers him in the head. Descends back to, like, a horizon overlooking him. And it's just like and it's just like to Sith, like, I had to. There's no other thing. All I could do was offer mercy. And she's like, I understand. Like, I think this situation's escalating in ways that is pretty extreme. Perhaps we should see what this new bridge has encountered. It's the opposite of the Rainbow Bridge. It's the Black Bridge. It leads to nowhere, and Thor has to cross it. And Sif's like, well, we could rally the team. We could get the Warriors 3 and Hercules and the Avengers. And he's like, nah, this is a task I must do alone. He starts kind of, like, rambling off. I made a vow. I did all this. I will fight this myself. And she kisses him just to, like, shut him up, just being like, you talk too much, Thor. You have to understand. Like, we are understanding of this situation. You now have to realize, just do it. You know? Face it. Let this final act you see upon the friendliest face that you know be someone who supports the decisions you are making, and that we are here for you. Almost as if it is goodbye from Sith. Maybe it is. Who knows? It's possible. Anything is possible. So he walks down the bridge. He waves goodbye. And Sif loses her sight. And he's like, do not let that be our goodbye. So Thor continues down into the depths that he has went to before of him and Loki a long time ago. He's got both of his axes. He's just looking around. And what does he stumble upon to? He stumbles upon the gates of Utgard. And who is there waiting for him? It's the Executioner, of course, who is wanting to fight him, that we know before, but behind him, with a fist poking through the gate, as if it's an apparition of, like, the Black Winter Thor thinks he has to fight, is Thanos. I don't think it's actually Thanos. I think it's just more like this version of Scourge that is, like, here to fight him is the death that he envisioned with Thanos, and, like, he's just seeing it as that. That, like, it's clearly just, like, a metaphor. Like, Tyrannos is now dead. Like, his biggest threat now is just, like, this Black Winter vision that he never really got resolution on. Lot to unpack in this issue, and I think it does a really good job, like, establishing there is an end in sight. It's impossible to write the final Thor story because half of his stories are like, it's Ragnarok, it's the end of everything. So you can never do it fully justice, but I think for the most part what we're seeing here is something interesting. I'm digging it, I'm responding to it, and sometimes that's the best you can ask for. I think the characters are all very distinctive and cool. I like the writing. Al Ewing knows how to, like, write in this voice. I really like the page where it's just Freya being like, oh, son, you had a kid with Enchantress. In another reality, too, nonetheless. I think that's really fun. Good book. Excited to see where we go. I don't know how much more we can go with this, but we'll see. So, the Immortal Thor, issue number 20. I am going to give a 7 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.